AI-written books are no longer just piling up on Amazon shelves. They're starting to win more of the charts, too. Welcome to the Automated Daily, AI News Edition, the podcast created by Generative AI. I'm Trent Teller, and today is August 2nd, 2026. Coming up, AI looks more useful as a financial coach than some expected. Fresh doubts hit the economics behind the AI build-out, and the fight over authorship, trust, and platform traffic keeps getting more serious. This episode is brought to you by Crisp Call. Crisp Call provides agentic cloud telephony for modern businesses. Find the link in the episode notes. We'll start with a surprisingly practical result from MIT Sloan. Researchers found that large language models can give fairly solid financial advice, especially when people ask detailed, structured questions instead of vague ones. In simulations, the models often nudged users towards sensible habits like saving more, staying diversified, and taking less risk with age. The catch is that they struggled more with messy real-life shocks like unemployment, and they did not always adjust portfolios enough over time. The bigger issue is consistency. Advice changed depending on factors like gender, financial literacy, and prior experience with AI. That matters because AI could become a low-cost alternative to a human advisor, but only if the industry gets a lot more serious about bias, reliability, and how ordinary people are taught to ask better questions. On the business side, the AI spending race is facing another round of skepticism. After Microsoft and Amazon laid out aggressive AI investment plans, commentator Ed Zitron argued that investors may be reading too much into those numbers. His basic point is that massive capex does not automatically prove broad, profitable demand. It may simply mean the biggest tech firms are building expensive infrastructure for a relatively small cluster of AI companies that still have not shown durable economics. Whether you agree or not, the argument matters because so much of the current tech market story depends on the idea that AI demand is deep, diversified, and about to turn into major profits. If that assumption weakens, the pressure will not just hit startups, it could ripple through the biggest names in the market. There is also a new warning about what AI may be doing to workers before it does anything dramatic to headcount. A paper from Apollo Global Management says the clearest labor effect so far is weaker wage growth, not obvious job destruction. Looking across hundreds of occupations, the researchers found that roles with the highest AI exposure saw a notable drop in real wage growth after the current generative AI boom began. The pain was strongest among lower earners, especially service workers, while higher paid workers did not show the same effect. If that pattern holds, AI may widen inequality even before it visibly eliminates large numbers of jobs. In other words, the first economic shock from AI may be quieter than layoffs, but still very significant. Creative work is becoming one of the clearest cultural fault lines in AI. Science fiction writer Charlie Stross came out strongly against using LLMs in fiction, arguing that authors should not treat them as substitutes for creative work, especially given ongoing anger over training on pirated books and large-scale scraping. His stance lands at the same time that another analysis is making a broader point. It is getting harder to reliably tell human writing from AI-generated text. That is not just a literary debate. It affects publishing, education, business communication, and basic trust online. The old idea that you can spot AI text from a few surface clues is looking less dependable. Context, intent, and provenance may matter more than style tells. And that leads to a more concrete market shift. Generative AI is already reshaping Amazon's self-published book ecosystem. A new study tracking thousands of titles found that books with substantial AI-generated text now make up a large share of the catalog and are steadily gaining a bigger slice of sales, especially in genre fiction. They still do not dominate overall revenue, but they are climbing into top-ranking slots that used to be held mostly by human-written titles. The key point is scale. AI can flood a market faster than revenue grows, which means more books compete for roughly the same money. That squeezes earnings per book and puts more pressure on writers working without automation. For platforms, authors, and policymakers, this looks less like a niche experiment and more like a structural change. Reddit offered another example of AI creating a trade-off between short-term revenue and long-term audience health. The company reported strong financial results, but its shares still fell because user growth, especially among logged-in users in the US, looked softer than investors wanted. One concern is that AI-powered search summaries may be answering questions without sending people through to Reddit itself. At the same time, Reddit is making money by licensing its content to companies like Google, so the platform can profit from feeding AI systems while also risking fewer direct visits from the people those systems serve. That's a tough balance, and investors clearly noticed it. Strong quarterly numbers are great, but platforms still need durable engagement. Finally, a smaller story with a bigger lesson about AI products. One developer said they stopped using Claude Code not because it failed technically, but because the model's tone became unpleasant over long sessions. The complaint was not really about raw coding ability. It was about snide comments, curt phrasing, and the sense that the assistant had become annoying to work with. That may sound minor, but it points to something important in the AI era. When people spend hours every day with these tools, personality is not a cosmetic detail. Tone affects trust, comfort, and whether users stick around. As AI assistants become everyday work companions, companies may learn that being slightly smarter is not enough if the interaction itself starts to feel abrasive. Thanks to our sponsor, Lindy. Lindy is your ultimate AI assistant that proactively manages your inbox, meetings, and calendar so you can focus on what actually matters. Find the link in the episode notes. That's the roundup for today. The biggest theme running through these stories is that AI is no longer just a technical novelty. It's starting to shape advice, wages, publishing, platform traffic, and even the daily experience of using software. Thanks for listening to the Automated Daily, AI News Edition. I'm Trent Teller, and links to all the stories we covered can be found in the episode notes.